Oswald Chambers writes in My Utmost for His Highest that there is nothing noble the human mind has ever hoped for or dreamed of that will not be fulfilled. We're putting together a discussion group, Such Stuff as Dreams, the Anatomy of Literature. If you don't recognize that, it's a quotation from The Tempest by Shakespeare, in which Prospero says, "We are such stuff as dreams are made on." We're going to look at a literary theoretician, Northrop Frye, and his book, The Anatomy of Criticism. In particular, we're going to look at the third of the 4 essays in the book, his theory of archetypes, in which he outlines the way in which the structure of literature is such that we can see that how the basic plots function. It's one of many possible ways of dissecting literature, of taking it apart and seeing how it works. Our goal here is to understand what art does. It changes us. It changes us through a complex emotional, intellectual experience that's called an aesthetic experience. That's what art does. We want to know how art does it. It does it by having us love what we should love. We find someone we identify with. We find a hero and villains, and we see. But what we're responding to is not the individuals. We're responding to heroism and villainy. So what does art do? How does it do it? We're going to look at why it matters. I think, and I am certain, not I think, and I'm in really good company. The list of philosophers and writers and politicians through the ages who agree that art is a life and death central human thing is a really long list. But it doesn't matter if people are making these attestations about the value of art. The fact is, and the unavoidable fact is, that art is universal. Every human being that has ever been born has encountered art, has created art. One of the ways in which we are imago Dei, we are in the image of God. We're made like God in that we create, we make. That's one of the ways. We tell stories. When we are going to tell someone, what did you get at the store? We have a beginning and an end. Usually a middle too, depending on how we tell that story. We create an artificial framework. We don't say, what did you get at the store? I was born on June 4th, 19... We have a place that we start. And we have a place where we end. And we include certain details and others. I went down aisle 3. I lifted my right foot. I set it down. I lifted my left foot. We don't do that. We pick and choose details as relevant to a communication with somebody else. Maybe the chief function of art is to enable us to experience the hopes and dreams which combine our fully roused emotions and our keenly incisive intellects, and which underlay and motivate every worthwhile endeavor of our lives. They're universal human experiences. We all undergo them, whether or not we're ever aware of the fact. The experience of art as art is never merely emotional, nor is it merely abstractly intellectual. It's one of the rare human experiences in which every aspect of what it is to be human is fed and nurtured, and enables us to feed and nurture others in combinations appropriate to every circumstance. We're going to take this essay, this long essay on the archetype of myths, and we're going to divide it up into 12 different sections, and we're going to read a piece of it at a time to understand how he's communicating what he's communicating. Some of it we'll go through, maybe it'll take us a half an hour in class to read a paragraph together. So one of the many goals is that we learn how to read things, and in particular we learn how to read things even when they're kind of over our heads. There are a lot of strategies for how to get in there and figure out what's being said. The chief goal is to just be able to do that dissection. We're going to have to do that the rest of our lives, aren't we? We read things. I mean, I realize none of us actually reads those 42-page things we scroll down and clip. I accept the terms. I have read and accept the terms when we haven't really, but alas. But we will someday have to read things like, how to hook the dishwasher up, and other complicated things like that.